Tony sent me a question asking why Trotter and Yani are getting paid so much money to run the trust and to administer the claims. I want to answer this question in great detail because there's really 6 answers to it. First, when you look at the money that's being paid to Trotter and Yani, you must look at it in the context of what the bankruptcy lawyers for PG&E are getting. There have been articles that said that those lawyers have already charged the estate more than $140 million. And so a $19 million order to run a $13.5 billion trust is relatively inexpensive compared to what PG&E's lawyers have been charging it. Secondly, there's a court-appointed auditor right now that accepts all fee requests, and the court approves those. So there was a hearing about this. Now, Trotter and Yani were originally appointed by the court on February the 11th of 2020. And during these months, Trotter and Yani are to be compensated for fees. They've got to be reasonable and necessary and expenses, but they've got to be submitted to the court by virtue of final fee applications. Now, the amounts that they're being paid is very large. Trotter is being compensated at $1,500 an hour. Yani's being paid $1,250 an hour. What I can tell you is these two individuals are like the Kevin Durant and the LeBron James of claims administration. They're the two very best people in the world on this issue, and they're expensive. But everybody on the TCC agreed to their amounts because we wanted the best. This is one of the largest trust funds ever administered in tort litigation, and it's not time to bring in a rookie who charges less. If we're going to go for the top talent in the field, you have to pay for it. Get quality, you have to pay for quality. But the order approving fees made it very specific. It's a $21.8 million budget to administer the $13.5 billion fund. That's not going to Trotter and Yani alone. They're hiring an entire staff of appropriate professionals and administrative staff. He's running a big company to fairly administer $13.5 billion. Good parts. PG&E paid the first $2.5 million up through now. This is a deal that I negotiated. They agreed to pay $2.5 million to the third-party administrator, Brown Greer, for their work up through now. Again, a deal I negotiated, but the remainder comes from the trust, it's future obligations. That's about, it's a lot of money, $19 million. This is going to go to pay for hundreds of people who are hired to administer this trust in a fair and efficient and a speedy fashion. They've hired bankruptcy counsel, a firm called Brown Rudnick. They've hired investment bankers, a firm called Houlihan Lokey. They've hired claims administration staff. There's a third-party administrator, Brown Greer, who's told us they're hiring 200 people. Why? Because if we cheap out on the trust administration and only hire a few people, it'll take longer for claimants into the trust to get paid. If we beef up the trust administration staff and have hundreds of people evaluating claims, it accelerates the timing of the payment of those claims. And Trotter and Yani have told me that their goal is to get most of the money out of the trust by late 2020 or early 2021. But even better than that, with $5.4 billion being placed into the trust on the effective date, it will generate at least 1.025% interest for 6 months, which is $33.75 million. So the cost of administering the trust will be paid for by the interest from the cash placed into the trust, not from the $13.5 billion that's reserved for you, the fire victims. Moreover, there's oversight on these costs. And there's 4 different kinds of oversight that I can think of so that everybody can make certain that this isn't some deal where the administration costs run amok. First, I would just point out the professional integrity and reputation of John Trotter, who's a former California appellate court judge, co-founder of JAMS. He distributed the settlement monies in San Diego gas and electric wildfire after the 2006 fire. His reputation is his most important asset. Likewise, Kathy Yani. She's constantly being appointed as an arbitrator, a mediator, a special master by federal judges throughout the land. There's an Abilify Products litigation, MDL 2734. The court says, I've reviewed Ms. Yani's credentials and I find her well qualified and appointed her as the special master. She's distributed dollars, billions of dollars as special master in complex multi-district litigations involving transvaginal mesh, St. Jude Riata, St. Jude's Eon, Infused Medtronic, Advanced Bionics cochlear implants, the Avandia litigation, the quinine litigation, the gadolinium litigation, Zicam 1 and 2, Renew, denture cream, Bextra Celebrex, Ortho Evra, Zyprexa 1, Zyprexa 2, silicone breast implants, Baycol, PPA, FinFin, and Yaz. It's a long way of saying that Kathy Yani is universally recognized as one of the premier special masters in the business. She's repeatedly been named the top special master in the state of California. And that's why the judge selected her to administer the $105 million of wildfire assistance program that's already gone to victims. Over and above that, we, the lawyers, have oversight and advisory committee status over the trust so that we can keep an eye on things. Lastly, the court said he wanted to keep an eye on things and retain jurisdiction over both Trotter and Yani. You can go to the orders, it's document number 6760 and 6759, where the court puts in the order that he retains jurisdiction to hear and determine all matters regarding the appointment of Trotter and Yani. And in that order, importantly, it says, look, there's no limitation of liability on Trotter and Yani. They have to do it right, and they know that. So there's all sorts of traps that are built into the system to make sure that the administration of this trust is performed admirably, ethically, openly, and transparently. So for more information about how this trust is going to be administered by Justice Trotter and Kathy Yani, go to our website, www.firesettlementfacts.com.